I never thought a single moment could tear a mother's heart apart so violently. Yet there I was standing under the scorching Dubai sun, abandoned by the very child I once carried in my arms. If someone had whispered to me that my own daughter would walk away without looking back, I would have called it a cruel lie. But life has a habit of revealing truths in the harshest places. And sometimes, in the middle of that heartbreak, it sends someone unexpected. A quiet, mysterious millionaire who changes everything without asking for anything in return. Before I begin, let me offer something small but sincere. May your children never forget the hands that raised them, and may your old age never know loneliness. If stories of survival, destiny, and emotional journeys bring you comfort, consider subscribing. Your support keeps my voice alive, especially now at 55, when I'm learning that life can still surprise you in ways both brutal and beautiful. My name is Isabela Corvanti. I come from a warm little neighborhood in southern Brazil, a place where mothers stitched hope into their children's clothes, and evenings smelled of sweet coffee and sea breeze. Life was simple, not easy. My parents died young, and I learned to survive before I learned to dream. When I became a mother myself, I promised my daughter, my beautiful Mariana, that she would never feel the emptiness I once carried. But children grow. And sometimes they grow away from you. Let me take you back to the morning that changed everything. The morning when I realized love can blind you, and trust can destroy you. We had flown to Dubai for what Mariana called a long overdue mother-daughter vacation. She insisted I deserved it. "Mama, you worked your whole life. Let me spoil you," she said, smiling the way she used to when she was little. Perhaps that smile should have warned me. It was too perfect, too rehearsed. But I believed her, because mothers believe even when they shouldn't. On the second day, Mariana left early, saying she had a business meeting. I didn't question it. She had become very involved in new ventures lately, mysterious ones she never fully explained. I simply wished her luck and waited in the hotel lobby, sipping a cup of bitter coffee that trembled in my hand. My heart felt uneasy, like a soft drum beating underneath my ribs. Something wasn't right. A mother always feels it first. Hours passed. Then more. I checked my phone so many times that even the screen seemed tired. No messages. No calls. Just silence, cold, growing, suffocating silence. When the sun began sinking toward the horizon, I finally walked back to our room. The hallway felt unusually long. My steps were slow, heavy, uncertain. And when I reached our door, something inside me froze. The door wasn't closed properly. It sat slightly open, swaying as if someone had left in a hurry. I pushed it gently. The room was empty. Not just empty, stripped. My suitcase lay unzipped on the bed. My clothes were tossed around, but the small pouch where I kept my savings, everything I had saved for years, was gone. My passport was gone. Every document that could help me return home gone. Even my daughter's belongings had disappeared. The air left my lungs. I clutched the edge of the bed to keep myself upright as a cold, sinking feeling spread through my chest. "Mariana," I whispered. No answer. My hand shook as I grabbed my phone. Only one message waited for me, sent 5 minutes earlier. "Mama, don't look for me. You'll be fine. Just stay calm. Just stay calm." As if calmness could exist in the ruin she left behind. Tears burned my eyes, but I wasn't ready to believe the truth. I told myself it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Maybe she'd been forced to leave. Maybe someone threatened her. Maybe. But mothers know. And deep inside, I knew she wasn't coming back. Still trembling, I rushed downstairs to the reception desk. My voice cracked as I asked if they had seen her. The receptionist frowned sympathetically and checked the cameras. Yes, she had checked out. Alone. Carrying all her luggage. Paying with my credit card. I felt something inside me tear. Not loudly. Quietly. The kind of tear only a mother's heart knows. The hotel informed me that without payment or identification, I could not stay another night. The words were polite but firm. I understood. I always understood, even when it broke me. So I stepped outside with my half-zipped suitcase, the warm Dubai air pressing against my face like a reminder that I was truly painfully alone. As I stood on the sidewalk watching cars rush by, each carrying people with destinations, purposes, families, I felt a wave of shame wrap around me. How do you explain that your own child left you behind? How do you tell strangers that the person you loved most in this world used your trust against you? My legs felt weak, and I sat quietly on a bench near the hotel entrance. I remember staring at my reflection in a glass window, my tired eyes, my graying hair, my shaking hands, and thinking, is this what motherhood ends like? Abandoned in a foreign land. And then, something unexpected happened. A black car pulled up near the entrance. The door opened and a tall man stepped out, dressed simply, not like someone trying to show off. His presence was quiet, calm, almost gentle. He walked into the hotel but paused when he noticed me sitting there, clutching my suitcase like a frightened child. Our eyes met for a brief moment, just enough for him to see the tears I was trying so desperately to hide. He didn't speak. He didn't judge. He simply nodded once, a silent acknowledgement of my pain before walking inside. I didn't know it then, but that quiet man, that stranger, would become the person who changed everything. The night was coming. I had no room, no money, no passport, no daughter. No idea what would happen next. And yet, in that suffocating darkness, the first spark of a new fate had just passed by me. But I didn't know. Not yet. I only knew one thing. My life was falling apart, and someone somewhere had just stepped into it. I know many of you may wonder, how does a woman begin again when her whole world collapses within a single afternoon? That night, as darkness spread across Dubai like a quiet warning, I learned that sometimes the smallest moment, a glance, a voice, a stranger walking toward you, can steer your fate in a direction you never imagined. So stay with me, because what happened next still feels unreal even to me. I was still sitting on that bench, trying to stop my tears from embarrassing me in public, when the man I had seen earlier walked back out of the hotel. He paused, looking at me the same way a person looks at a wounded bird, carefully, without making it feel smaller than it already does. He approached slowly, not wanting to startle me. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. His voice carried no pity, only calm, steady concern, the kind that makes you believe a stranger might care more than your own blood. I wiped my eyes quickly, ashamed. I'm fine," I lied, my voice trembling. Just a little overwhelmed. He studied me for a moment, and somehow I felt he could see straight through the lie. His eyes weren't sharp or intrusive, just deeply observant, the kind of eyes that had seen too many things and judged none of them. "My name is Adrian," he said gently. Adrian Moretti. The name meant nothing to me then. But later I would learn that half the city knew him, even if he preferred to walk quietly among people who had no idea who he was. But at that moment he was simply a stranger offering a moment of humanity. I hesitated before responding. "I'm Isabela Corvanti." He nodded, then glanced down at my half-open suitcase, the scattered clothes peeking out, my shaky hands clutching the handle as if it might anchor me to the earth. "Isabela," he said, "you look like someone who needs a safe place to rest tonight. The city can be unforgiving if you're exhausted." He didn't pry, didn't ask why I was alone, didn't ask what happened. Maybe that's why I didn't push him away. I tried to speak, but my throat tightened. I don't have my room anymore." He looked toward the hotel entrance. "I thought so. They're strict with identification." Then he added quietly, "No passport." My silence was the only answer he needed. He didn't ask further. Instead he said something unexpected. "Come inside. I can book you a room for the night. No questions asked. Just rest." My heart thudded with equal parts fear and desperation. A lone woman accepting help from a stranger in a foreign country. It sounded reckless. Dangerous even. But sitting outside in the night with no money, no documents, no idea what to do, felt more dangerous. Still, I whispered, "Why would you help me?" His answer was simple. "Because someone once helped me when I thought the world had ended." He paused. "Let me return that kindness." For a moment I couldn't breathe. Because sometimes words, simple, honest words, are enough to break what remains of your defenses. Slowly I nodded. Inside the hotel, he spoke to the staff with a calm authority that made them listen immediately. Within minutes, a room was reserved for me. Adrian handed me the key card, turning it so gently it felt like he was placing fragile glass in my hand. "You'll be safe here," he said. "Adrian, I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me," he replied. "Just rest." He started to turn away but paused. If you need anything, I'll be downstairs for a while. I went upstairs, my legs shaking from exhaustion and emotion. When I entered the room, I didn't even turn on the lights. I sat on the bed and let the darkness wrap around me like a blanket. For the first time that day, I allowed myself to cry freely, quietly, hopelessly, painfully. Because no matter how strong you are, betrayal from your own child shatters something inside you. Something that doesn't heal easily. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually exhaustion overtook me. When I woke the next morning, sunlight was streaming through the curtains, warm and indifferent to human suffering. I checked my phone, still no message from Mariana. Not one word. Not one explanation. I felt a hollow ache in my chest. Not just heartbreak but humiliation. The world outside the window looked beautiful, but I felt invisible. I washed my face, ate a small piece of bread left by room service and forced myself downstairs. Adrian was seated in the hotel cafe, drinking tea, reading a newspaper as if he belonged in a painting of calm mornings. When he noticed me, he folded the paper neatly. "How are you feeling today?" I wanted to say better. I wanted to pretend I was strong. But instead I whispered, "Lost." He nodded slowly. "Then let's find your way." We talked for a long time. Mostly he asked gentle questions, where I came from, how long I'd been in Dubai, whether there was someone he could call. Not once did he sound curious for gossip. Only concerned, patient, grounded. Finally, I told him everything. About Mariana. About the lies. About the missing passport. About being left with nothing. I waited for him to judge me. To ask how a mother could be so blind. But he simply listened, his hands folded calmly. His expression unreadable but warm. When I finished, he said softly, "Sometimes the people we love most hurt us the deepest. But their choices do not define your worth." Something inside me cracked at those words. Not in pain but in a strange, unexpected relief. Then he added, "I can help you get a temporary document from your embassy. It may take time but you won't be alone through it." I looked at him, startled. "You've already done too much." Adrian shook his head. "No. You deserve more than being abandoned. And no one deserves to face that kind of betrayal alone." Just then, a waiter passed by, and Adrian quietly moved my cup away from the edge to keep it from spilling. That tiny gesture, that small, attentive kindness told me something. This man wasn't helping me out of pity. He was helping me because he cared. Truly cared. And I felt something stir inside me. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. But I didn't know then that this was only the beginning. Because soon I would learn who Adrian Moretti really was, and why fate had placed him in my path. And nothing, absolutely nothing, would be the same after that. I didn't know what to expect when I walked beside Adrian through the busy streets of Dubai that afternoon. The city felt different now, not as threatening, not as suffocating. Maybe because someone was finally walking with me instead of leaving me behind. There was a quiet strength to him. A steadiness that made me feel safe in a way I hadn't felt for years. Not even with my own daughter. He guided me to the Brazilian consulate, waited beside me through every form, every confused question, every painful explanation. And each time my voice trembled, he stepped a little closer. Not touching, not intruding, just close enough that I felt like I wasn't facing the world alone. When we stepped outside hours later, I finally had something in my hand. A temporary travel document. A small piece of paper, but to me it felt like hope printed in ink. I turned to Adrian. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't have to repay kindness," he said with a quiet smile. "You just pass it forward when life gives you the chance." Later, we sat in a small seaside cafe. The waves rolled in softly, and for a moment it felt like home, like Brazil. Like the life I once had before everything became so complicated. I stared at the ocean, wondering how a mother and daughter could drift apart so far that one would abandon the other without looking back. "Do you still love her?" Adrian asked gently. I swallowed hard. A mother's love doesn't disappear. But trust dies differently. It doesn't fade, it breaks. He nodded. And broken things can be rebuilt, if both sides want it. I looked down at my trembling hands. But she doesn't want to rebuild anything. He was silent for a moment, then said something that still lives in my heart. "Then rebuild yourself first, Isabela. And when she looks back, she won't find the woman she betrayed. She'll find the woman who rose from it." That night, back at the hotel, I thought about his words. I realized how small I had made myself for years, squeezing into the spaces my daughter gave me, excusing her coldness, her distance, her cruel silence. I had clung to her because she was all I had. But now, standing at the window overlooking the city, I understood something clearly. I deserved a life too. A life not built on someone else's acceptance. A life not waiting for someone to choose me. The next morning, Adrian walked with me to the airport. My flight was arranged through the consulate, and everything was finally in motion. But a strange sadness settled in my chest. I didn't know why. Maybe because leaving meant stepping away from the one person who had shown up when my own daughter had vanished. As we waited for boarding, Adrian stood beside me quietly. He wasn't a man who wasted words, and he didn't need to. His presence alone felt like something steady, something reassuring. Finally, he spoke. When you reach home, take your time to heal. Don't run back to pain just because it feels familiar. I managed a small smile. And what about you? Will I ever see you again? He held my gaze, calm and certain. If our paths are meant to cross again, they will. Something warm, something dangerously close to hope, stirred in my chest. Before I could reply, my phone buzzed. A message. From Mariana. For a moment I couldn't breathe. My thumb trembled as I opened it. It was one sentence. I heard you're going back. Do what you want. I don't care. No apology. No explanation. Just coldness. I felt tears burn behind my eyes, but before they could fall, Adrian gently took the phone from my shaking hand and placed it face down on the seat. Some messages, he said softly, don't deserve to wound you twice. I took a long breath. Why wasn't I enough for her? He looked at me with an understanding I didn't expect. Some people love only what you can give them, not who you are. But you deserve someone who sees you and stays. The gate opened. Passengers began lining up. My heart felt heavier than my suitcase. Goodbye, Adrian, I whispered. But he shook his head. No goodbyes, Isabela. Just take care of your heart. I stepped toward the gate, but halfway there, something made me turn back. He was standing exactly where I left him. Hands in his pockets, watching me with that calm, quiet strength that had carried me through the worst days of my life. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt valued. On the plane, as it lifted into the sky, I looked out the window and whispered a promise to myself. I would rebuild my life. Not for anyone else, only for me. When I reached Europe, I began slowly. I stayed with an old friend, found small work, met people who treated me kindly. Months passed. I learned to smile again, to breathe without fear, to live without waiting for my daughter's approval. One evening, while sorting through paperwork at home, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I hesitated before answering. A familiar voice spoke. Isabela, this is Adrian. My breath caught. How did you? I was in Europe for a business trip, he said, a smile hidden in his tone. And I wondered if you might have time for dinner. I closed my eyes, not because I was sad, but because something warm spread through my chest, something I had forgotten how to feel. Hope. Gentle, steady hope. Dinner, I whispered. Yes, I'd like that. Maybe life doesn't always give us the love we expect, but sometimes it gives us the love we deserve. And that, I think, is the quiet revenge life offers to those who survive heartbreak. If you felt this story in your heart, consider subscribing. It helps me share more stories like this with you and with everyone who needs them.